Hi everybody, I'm Jack and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Just easing into the day on a quiet Sunday morning here in South Alabama. Went down to Pensacola yesterday, just grabbing a few last minute things before Woodstock. Leave for Woodstock a week from today, although I'm not sure when this video comes out. Leaving on Sunday the 20th of August. So looking forward to that. Got myself, I had a good day in Pensacola. I got a case of Atolfo mangoes, which I'm going to have some later today. Got myself a pair of new Chucks. Needed some shoes. The only pair of shoes I had was my running shoes that have a hole in them. So anyhow, wanted to do a video before I take off and go do a few errands this morning. Today I'm going to talk about raw vegan weight loss, but the devil is in the details. What does that mean? I do videos every day, so if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I'd really appreciate if you'd hit the subscribe button now and click on the little bell and check send notifications so you will stay subscribed to the channel. The devil is in the details. That's an old saying. And you know what? I have to apologize sometime. I've moved around, I've lived in other cultures, I've hung out with people of different ages. So I pick up slang and sayings from different ages, from different times, from different languages even sometimes. So I never know if some of these little sayings relate. But what I mean by that, the devil is in the details. I got thinking about it this past week, I'm always trying to little tricks to keep my weight up, just to add a little bit good healthy weight on there. And I've talked about this subject before. What I'm going to try to get at today, the point I'm trying to make here, is that I'm always talking about having patience with what you're doing and also putting a little thought process into it. And you actually have to hone your day-to-day way of eating. And it's tricky. It's tricky getting there. But if you're not getting the results, whether it's weight loss, weight gain, whatever you're trying to do, you don't necessarily need to scrap the whole program or scrap what you're doing completely or change what you're doing completely, or even sometimes you don't even need to make drastic adjustments to it. What I'm getting at here is, like I've noticed lately, like sometimes in the morning, I'll still have a cup of coffee from time to time if on the days that the newspaper comes. Most of the time, though, I have Dandy Blend in the morning, which is kind of a coffee substitute. And I've kind of gotten into the habit since I've been back in the States. I've done this every so often, but I've kind of been a little bit more regular. Like I'll have some dates with that Dandy Blend in the morning. And not a lot, but I'll usually have like 4 or 5 dates. And I started thinking, well, that adds up calorie-wise. And sometimes I've done that. I've tweaked my bananas just a few either way, and I can notice the difference. I noticed the difference, I think it was back in April when I went back to Costa Rica. I was on kind of a pattern there where I would be in Costa Rica for 3 months, then I needed to fly up here, get out of the country, check on my mom, and then I would go back. Well, the last time that I flew back to Costa Rica, I went crazy on the fruit. I wasn't even eating overt fat, and I was getting a little soft in the belly, and I started kind of like putting to it. I'm like, wow, usually when I'm like adding no overts, I lean out. I get super lean. Sometimes I even have to struggle to keep the weight on. Well, what it was, I was just kind of getting in this pattern of I had been eating like I normally do during the day, getting a lot of fruit in, getting a lot of fruit calories in. And then at night, I was almost every night having myself a little bowl of ice cream, which is not a problem, but that was extra. So in that consistency of extra calories, you will gain weight. Or in that consistency of just a few less, you will lose weight. So, if you're not getting the results, let's say, okay, for instance, let's say you're trying to lose weight, you're not losing weight on the raw vegan lifestyle. Or maybe you're not trying to lose weight, but you don't want to gain weight, and you are gaining a little weight on the raw vegan lifestyle. Once again, come back, what do you need to do? From everything I'm always preaching on here, not that I really preach at you, but you need to be writing it down. Because if you're writing down what you're eating, everybody that's struggling, I'm not saying necessarily everybody needs to keep a food journal or everybody needs to write it down. Honestly, as much as I recommend it, I never did. But I didn't struggle on these certain things. But if you're struggling on certain things, on anything really, you have to write it down so you're able to identify the problem. It's so much easier to identify the problem if it's just right there in front of you. And a lot of times, if you will write everything down and then you see some weight gain or you're not getting weight loss, you can notice, okay, well, there's, you know, say maybe somebody was doing that was trying to lose weight and they're noticing they have X amount of dates a day. Well, boom, there's some extra calories, right? There's a big dose of calories right there, or an ice cream or whatever it might be in your circumstances. But before you scrap your whole plan, your whole program, the way you're doing things, go looking for a totally different approach, somebody new to follow, you know, going from this method of doing it to this method. It might just be as simple as, you know, something that you're doing every day, or something that you're not doing every day, something that you're including every day. Now for me, it's been a positive thing, because just that little bit of extra, you know, having the extra dates, having this kind of helps me along, kind of make sure that I don't, you know, because I've told you before, I can tend to just drop weight like that, and if I take 4 or 5 days and I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing, I'll drop a little weight. I've really made a point of being consistent since I've been back and making sure that I'm getting in those calories every day. Once again, I'm getting back to how those details. It's those details. It's not like, you know, when you gain weight or when you're not losing weight or when you sometimes do this, it's not because you're totally going in the wrong direction, but it can just be these little things. And I've struggled to actually put the healthy weight on and keep it on, simply because I'm doing the right things most of the time, or I'm doing the right thing mostly throughout the day, but then I fall short in one little way, and then I'm deficient, you know, 300 or 400 calories every day, and that adds up over the course of a week or 2 weeks. So like I say, this one is just kind of repetition of different things. There's not any kind of great revelation in this. This is just one of those little, like, things that I don't think, you know, like I say, details. Details. There's a lot to be learned in details of things as opposed to just the big picture. I'm one of those types that does like to start and look at the big picture, but sometimes we can identify the things in those details. So if you're struggling on this, if you're not losing the weight, it's a very simple process. Write it down, write it down, write it down, write it down and analyze it. Analyze your food journal at the end of the week. You know, sit down at the end of the week. That's a big enough. You don't need to, you don't need to every day scrutinize, because you won't get enough of a picture of, you won't get enough of that big picture just doing one day. But say, if you're struggling on losing weight and you want to lose weight, here's what you do. Start tomorrow. Start you a food journal if you aren't doing it. Write down everything you're eating. Now, after 7 days, when you have 7 days written down, next Sunday or whatever day, if you do it, start it on Sunday, you know, you'll do Sunday through Saturday. That'll be 7 days. Then the next Saturday, sit down and evaluate those 7 days. Look for the details in there. Look, like, say, okay, I'm eating extra blah, blah, blah every day. Maybe I'm eating on top of what would normally be a day of good nutrition. Maybe I'm eating X amount of dates, or maybe I'm eating X amount of nuts. I'm just using dates because that's on my mind right now. But maybe you're noticing every day, like, you know what? I tend to grab like a couple of handfuls of nuts every day. Maybe you don't even notice those details because they're so small. Maybe you're just eating, you know, cashew here and there, or you're eating your nuts like here and there, but it's adding up to a couple of handfuls, which that's not huge. It's not huge, but when you're having a couple of handfuls extra of something like that that's very dense in calories, very dense in fat, it is definitely going to add up. So, like I say, just let me repeat myself and then I'll be gone. Before you totally retool, scrap what you're doing because what you're doing is not working to lose weight, it might just be that you need to adjust it, recalibrate a little bit. So just something to think about. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, and I will see you again tomorrow. Peace.